Did you hear the news? 3 minutes ago, the royal family shared information that has sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace, through the tabloids, and across the globe. Prince Harry, once celebrated as the rebel prince who could do no wrong in the eyes of many, has now been arrested. Arrested in what insiders are calling one of the most explosive scandals in recent royal history. But why? What could the heir to the monarchy's attention have possibly done that would trigger such a dramatic response? And more importantly, how did the royal family find out before anyone else? But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. The answer lies in financial records that were never meant to see the light of day. Leaked documents revealed details that could destroy reputations, upend dynasties, and potentially land a prince in prison. These aren't vague accusations or tabloid rumors. They are numbers, transactions, and evidence pointing directly at Harry, suggesting he may have laundered royal funds. Laundered money. The very phrase makes the monarchy and the world shiver. It's the kind of revelation that makes you question everything you thought you knew about one of the most famous families on earth. Why does this matter now? Because this isn't just about Harry. This is about legacy, about the monarchy's finances, about trust, and ultimately about power. For decades, the royal family has guarded its secrets fiercely. Every scandal, every breach of protocol, has been meticulously managed to maintain appearances. And yet, here we are, staring at a situation that could unravel decades of careful control. Could this be the scandal that finally breaks the carefully curated image of the Windsors? Could it redefine the public's perception of Prince Harry forever? And there's more. The timing of these revelations is almost cinematic. The documents leaked just as Prince Harry was preparing for what was supposed to be a low-profile appearance. The arrest itself caught the palace off guard, sending senior members into panic mode behind closed doors. And the public? They're left watching in disbelief, scrolling through news feeds that are updating every minute with more shocking details. What was once a story of a prince struggling with his role has now escalated into a full-blown legal and financial crisis. So what exactly do these documents show? How did they surface? And what does this mean for Harry, the monarchy, and the public's trust in one of the world's most famous families? Over the next hour, we're going to break down every detail, every twist, and every emotional spike in this unfolding drama. You'll see the palace's reaction, the legal ramifications, and perhaps the most shocking element, how one prince's actions could threaten an entire legacy. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Imagine waking up to headlines that scream, "Prince Harry arrested." The shock waves would ripple through Buckingham Palace, across London, and around the globe. That's exactly what happened just moments ago. For decades, Prince Harry has been the royal family's wild card. Known for his charisma, his charity work, and, of course, his occasional rebellious streaks. But an arrest? That's not just news. That's unprecedented. And it raises questions that nobody yet has answers to. What led to this? Who knew? And how far will this scandal go? The timeline itself is almost cinematic. Sources say that early in the morning, palace security received an unusual alert. Documents flagged in the financial system that should never have been accessed by a member of the family. By midday, investigators were on Harry's doorstep, moving quickly and quietly before the press could catch wind. Rumors of handcuffs and questioning circulated on social media almost instantly, creating a frenzy. Royal staff scrambled to contain leaks, but in today's digital world, containment is nearly impossible. The world was watching, and Harry's arrest became the story everyone was talking about. Inside the palace, the atmosphere reportedly shifted from shock to panic. King Charles, normally a calm and calculated presence, was said to be furious and deeply disappointed, according to insiders. Even Prince William, who has had a complicated relationship with his younger brother, was reportedly stunned. The once playful dynamic between the brothers seems to have fractured under the weight of this crisis. And the public? They were left to speculate, with each media outlet offering a new angle, a new theory, a new potential scandal. Was this a mistake, a misjudgment, or a deliberate act? What makes this arrest even more explosive is the nature of the accusations. This isn't a minor violation or a misstep. It involves financial misconduct on a scale that could have serious legal repercussions. Leaked records suggest that Harry may have transferred significant sums in ways that are raising alarms for investigators and legal experts alike. The implications aren't just personal. They threaten to tarnish the monarchy itself, calling into question the integrity of royal finances and the oversight mechanisms meant to protect them. And the timing couldn't be more critical. Harry was scheduled to make a public appearance soon, one that was meant to highlight his charitable efforts and reinforce his public image. Instead, the arrest upends everything. Public appearances canceled, statements drafted, family meetings convened behind closed doors. The world waits for answers, and the palace must now navigate the delicate balance of transparency and discretion. But this is only the beginning. The arrest set off a chain reaction that would uncover secrets no one expected, documents, communications, and actions that had remained hidden from the public eye. What investigators discovered in those initial hours would shock not just the royal family, but anyone who thought they knew the real story behind Prince Harry. And what came next would take this scandal to a whole new level, one that would leave even the most seasoned royal watchers reeling. So how did we get here? The key to this scandal lies in a set of financial records that were never meant to see the light of day. Leaked, anonymous, and explosive, these documents paint a picture of transactions that could rock the very foundations of the royal family. And when we say leaked, we mean leaks that insiders are calling unprecedented. Emails, spreadsheets, and accounting notes that track money moving in ways that appear both secretive and suspicious. But the question everyone is asking is, why now? Why did these records surface at this precise moment, just as Harry's public life was at a turning point? According to sources familiar with the documents, the records span several years, showing transfers that were cleverly disguised as charitable donations, administrative expenses, or miscellaneous fees. On the surface, everything might seem legitimate. But when you dig deeper, patterns start to emerge, patterns that suggest funds may have been redirected in ways that bypassed normal oversight. What makes this even more shocking is that Harry's name appears repeatedly, not just as a passive recipient, but as an active orchestrator of these transfers. Transactions that, to a trained eye, suggest an attempt to shield money from scrutiny. And it gets stranger. Some entries are labeled with codes or nicknames, perhaps to hide their true purpose. Others involve offshore accounts in jurisdictions known for secrecy. This isn't the kind of thing you stumble across by accident. This is calculated, deliberate, and recorded in ways that make investigators sit up and take notice. The palace has reportedly launched an internal audit, but insiders say even the most experienced accountants are stunned. "I've never seen anything like this in my life," one anonymous source told reporters. "It's like a treasure map, but the treasure is money that shouldn't exist." Think about that for a moment. Money that the public assumes is tightly controlled, safeguarded, and accounted for, moving in ways that no one outside a small circle could possibly know about. And here's the kicker. Some of these transactions contradict official statements made by the royal household in the past. Publicly, everything was above board. Privately, the numbers tell a completely different story. This gap between perception and reality is what makes the scandal so explosive. And yet, there's more. The leaked records don't just reveal suspicious transfers. They hint at relationships, partnerships, and perhaps even backroom deals that could explain how Harry allegedly manipulated these funds. Names of advisors, agents, and charities appear, creating a web of connections that investigators are only beginning to untangle. Could there be others involved? Were these actions carried out alone, or is this part of a larger pattern within the palace? But what really leaves people speechless is that these documents weren't found in some obscure vault. They were uncovered by investigators hours after the arrest. The timing, the precision, and the detail all suggest that someone has been tracking these movements closely, waiting for the right moment to expose them. And that moment? It appears to have come at the worst possible time for Harry and the royal family. What investigators would discover next would make even the most seasoned financial experts question how deeply this scandal could run. And as the palace braces for fallout, one question looms larger than any other. Could this be the beginning of a legal nightmare Harry cannot escape? Laundering royal funds. Say it out loud and let it sink in. Prince Harry, a prince of the realm, allegedly involved in financial maneuvers that could land him behind bars. For most people, This sounds like a plot straight out of a crime thriller. For the royal family, it's an unimaginable nightmare, an accusation that strikes at the very heart of trust, legacy, and reputation. But the more investigators dug into the leaked financial records, the more troubling patterns they found. And while the palace has remained officially silent, whispers of illegal transactions have started circulating in elite circles, igniting speculation that is only growing louder by the hour. According to sources, the alleged laundering involved a series of complex transfers designed to disguise the true origin of funds. At first glance, these were recorded as donations to charities or payments for administrative services. But a closer look reveals a labyrinth of shell accounts, offshore entities, and coded references that point to something far more clandestine. Experts are describing this as sophisticated, suggesting it could not have been done without intimate knowledge of finance, auditing loopholes, and the inner workings of the royal household. Which begs the question, was this a carefully executed plan or a reckless gamble? Adding fuel to the fire, the records appear to contradict statements previously made by Harry in public interviews. He has repeatedly claimed transparency in his financial dealings, insisting that all charitable and personal expenditures were above board. But the documents show transactions with multiple accounts abroad, unexplained wire transfers, and payments that lack clear documentation. The discrepancies are enough to raise eyebrows in both legal and media circles. And while Harry's team has not publicly responded to these specific claims, insiders suggest that private consultations with top-tier legal advisors are already underway. The implications of royal fund laundering are staggering. Not only could this mean criminal charges, but it also threatens to erode public confidence in the monarchy. People donate to royal charities trusting that their contributions are used responsibly. If those funds were misused or moved inappropriately, it would create a scandal that reverberates far beyond Harry himself. Every headline, every leaked detail chips away at the image of the royal family as a symbol of integrity and stability. And the timing couldn't be worse. With the palace already under scrutiny for past controversies and Harry positioned as a public figure with high visibility, the optics are devastating. Analysts are questioning whether the arrest and the leaks are just the tip of the iceberg. Could other members of the royal family face scrutiny as well? Was Harry acting alone, or is there a network of aides, advisors, or even family members involved in this tangled web of finances? But the most shocking revelation may not be the numbers themselves. It's the audacity, the sheer scale of what appears to have been attempted behind closed doors. The palace is now facing questions it never thought it would have to answer publicly, and Harry's personal and professional future hangs by a thread. And yet, this chapter of the story is far from over. The palace's next moves and the public's reaction will set the stage for a drama that could rewrite Harry's legacy forever. The moment the news hit Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere shifted instantly. Imagine a place accustomed to carefully choreographed appearances, scripted smiles, and controlled leaks suddenly thrown into chaos. The corridors that normally echo with quiet protocol were alive with tension, whispers, and the kind of panic that only comes when a secret you thought was untouchable suddenly explodes in public view. King Charles was reportedly informed within minutes of Harry's arrest, and according to insiders, his reaction was a mix of fury and disbelief. One senior aide described the scene as an emotional storm, heavy with disappointment. Prince William, who has long struggled to reconcile his public duties with his complex relationship with his younger brother, was equally stunned. While he had braced for controversies over the years, from interviews to personal disputes, this was unprecedented. Sources say William retreated to a private room for hours, poring over reports, financial statements, and communications to understand just how deep the alleged misconduct went. Family meetings that normally run like clockwork became emergency sessions, where advisors and aides debated next steps in hushed tones. And every conversation seemed to circle back to the same question. How could Harry risk so much, so publicly? But not everyone reacted with anger. Some palace insiders reportedly tried to mitigate the fallout, urging calm, emphasizing discretion, and attempting to manage media messaging before the story could spiral completely out of control. The palace communications team worked frantically, crafting statements that were deliberately vague but intended to signal seriousness and control. Even so, the leaks were already circulating worldwide, trending on social media and dominating news cycles. The monarchy, usually adept at shaping narratives, found itself on the defensive, scrambling to contain the fallout instead of controlling it. Emotionally, the royal family faces a complex mix of feelings: betrayal, disappointment, and concern for the public image they have spent decades cultivating. Imagine generations of legacy, tradition, and trust suddenly being questioned because one member may have crossed a line that no one expected him to cross. For King Charles, this is personal, and for William, it's a fracture in the family bond he has worked to maintain. And yet, some insiders suggest that even amidst the chaos, there's a sense of resignation. "We've known Harry would take risks, but no one imagined it would come to this," one source reportedly said. The public reaction, too, is influencing the family's approach. Social media is flooded with opinion, speculation, and outrage. Each post, tweet, and headline amplifies the pressure on the palace to act decisively, while also highlighting the tension between